What would happen if you were sucked into a black hole and were still conscious in the last milliseconds of your existence? There's no time to run. There is no escape. The space around you begins to curve. The sky, which was once just dark, now seems shattered. The light bends. Time slows down, and you feel your body being pulled by a force that doesn't seem to be from this universe. It's like falling, but without end. It's like screaming, but without the sound. Everything around you is being swallowed. Reality begins to fail. The ground shakes, bones vibrate, the air is knocked from your lungs. Your body doesn't understand what's happening. Your mind, yes, you know you are crossing the threshold of the unknown. And the scariest thing, you are still conscious. You feel each second stretching out, every thousandth drags on like an eternity. Can you imagine what it's like to be trapped in time, watching your own destruction repeat itself without being able to react? Comment below. If you were fully aware at that moment, what would be your last thought? Do you believe that the mind can resist even when everything else has disappeared? Stay with me, because what you'll discover in this video may make you question everything around you, even your own memories. Have you ever stopped to think that there is a place in the universe where the laws of physics just break? A black hole is not an object. It is not a planet, a star, or any form of visible matter. It is a region of space where gravity has won. Everything inside collapsed until reaching a point of almost infinite density, where matter was compressed in such an absurd way that it created a gravitational field capable of capturing even light. What defines this limit is what we call the event horizon, a kind of frontier of no return. If something crosses that point, it is doomed. Nothing escapes. No information, no radiation, no signal at all. It's as if everything disappeared from the observable universe. For those outside, what goes in there simply ceases to exist. The center of the black hole is the singularity, a microscopic point with gigantic mass. Imagine compressing planet Earth to the size of a marble. Now imagine compressing entire stars. The result is such an intense distortion in space-time that not even the most advanced calculations can accurately describe what happens inside this nucleus. The theory of relativity works to a certain extent, but when applied to the singularity, it fails. It's as if mathematics gave up trying to explain. And it is exactly at this limit, at this point of no return, that the biggest questions in the universe still remain unanswered. If you, as a human being, started approaching a black hole, your body wouldn't just be pulled in, he would be destroyed. And the process has a specific name: spaghettification. This phenomenon occurs because the gravitational force of a black hole is extremely uneven in different parts of the body. Your feet, as they are closer to the gravitational center, would be pulled with a much greater force than your head. This would create extreme tension, stretching your body like a thread, cell by cell, molecule by molecule. But this effect depends on the type of black hole. In stellar black holes, which are smaller and denser, spaghettification begins long before you cross the event horizon. The gravitational field is so concentrated that the human body would be destroyed very quickly. In a supermassive black hole, like the one at the center of our galaxy, the event horizon is much wider. In that case, you could cross that border without feeling much of anything at first. The destruction process would be slower, but inevitable. Every cell, every atom in your body would begin to be pulled in different directions. Bones would stretch until they broke. Fabrics would tear with no chance of resistance. The body couldn't handle it. The collapse would be total. And all of this, in the eyes of an outside observer, would happen in a matter of seconds. But for you, there would still be perception. And this is where the experience becomes even more disturbing. Do you realize what this means? That your body, something you always believed to be solid, whole, real, can be completely dismantled, stretched, torn into 1,000 pieces, all by an invisible, silent, and inescapable force. Within seconds, the illusion of control disappears, and everything you knew as reality begins to fail. It is at this moment that the human mind realizes we know nothing about the limits of the universe. Just theories, hypotheses, assumptions. And in light of this, recognizing content like this, which exposes without filters what may be waiting for you out there, is a way of valuing knowledge, strengthening this community of explorers of the unknown, and ensuring that YouTube continues to recommend videos that really challenge your perception. Leave your like now. It's not just a button, it's proof that you want to go beyond the surface and are ready to face truths that science is still trying to understand. Now imagine what happens after that your body is destroyed. Not physically, molecularmente. What is left of you after each atom is separated from the other? Because, yes, it's not over yet. In the next instant, you will no longer be flesh, bone, or blood. It will be something even more fragmented and, surprisingly, perhaps still conscious. Physically destroying a human body is already extreme, but what happens at the microscopic level goes far beyond what the mind can imagine. The gravity of a black hole doesn't just deform the body, it acts on atomic scales. This means that after spaghettification, what's left of you continues to be stretched and compressed until the molecular bonds completely break. Entire atoms are torn apart. Protons, neutrons, electrons, everything starts to disintegrate. You cease to be solid matter. Each particle is separated from the other with absurd violence. The basic structure of your body breaks down into subatomic elements, and on an even deeper level, even these components can be destroyed, collapsing into pure energy. Extreme gravitational force interferes with the nuclear forces that keep matter stable. It's like taking apart the most fundamental functioning of your being piece by piece. You are no longer a body. It is no longer a collection of cells. Now, you are a scattered beam of loose particles traveling toward a point where space-time no longer functions in a predictable way. And the scariest thing, there is no resistance. There is no reversal. It's a path of no return. Everything you were, physical, tangible, identifiable, ceases to exist as a unit. You become fragment, vibration, radiation. And theoretically, a part of this process can be recorded as an energetic wave that still contains traces of who you were. But what if the physical body disappeared, but his consciousness remained? What would happen to your mind? The relativity of time is not fiction, it's a proven fact. And inside a black hole, it stops being a distant theory and becomes a real and terrifying experience. As you approach the singularity, time stops working as you know it. To someone watching from the outside, his fall appears to slow down infinitely. But for you inside, everything continues, only different. The distortion of time intensifies until 1,000th of a second on the outside can seem like an eternity on the inside. Imagine being conscious at that moment, not for seconds, but through an extended perception in which each thought seems to last for hours. Every image, every memory, every emotion drags on without end. Could you endure an eternity of perception in fractions of a second? It's not just the body that suffers, it's the mind collapsing into a slow-motion reality where time stretches until it becomes a maze, where there is no way out. Your consciousness would be stuck in a loop of thoughts, sensations, and distortions, completely isolated, while the universe continues outside as if nothing had happened. Time in this environment is no longer linear. You can relive memories, feel the present, and even visualize what hasn't happened yet, all at the same time. The mind, without body, without direction, floats in a space where seconds no longer have meaning. And the scariest thing, perhaps there is no end to this. The notion of past, present, and future mixes. And you are alone in this infinite interval. Have you ever had that strange feeling that time has slowed down during an intense moment in your life? Now imagine this expanded to the extreme, without control, without end. Inside a black hole, this is not a metaphor. It is a real possibility. What if your mind was stuck in a time span that no one can measure? Do you believe that consciousness could withstand this collapse, or would everything be lost in an eternal void? Comment below. In your opinion, human consciousness is just a function of the brain, or is there something beyond that? Do you think a part of us could continue to exist even when everything else has been destroyed? I want to see your theory. There are a lot of people here trying to understand what could really happen at the edge of the universe, and their vision could open up paths that no one has yet considered. But what if consciousness didn't disappear along with the body? What if, somehow, it persisted, without form, without time, without matter? In the next instant, you will no longer be human. It will no longer be a body. It will just be mind. And that can be much scarier than death. What is consciousness? Could it just be the result of electrical activity in the brain? Or is there something else? Something that we can't yet measure, but that perhaps continues to exist, even when the body is no longer there? Science still doesn't have a definitive answer. We know that the human brain is a complex network of electrical signals and biochemical impulses. When the body dies, this network goes out. At least that's what the instruments show. But what exactly happens at the boundary between the last synapse and nothingness? Some research suggests that the brain continues to function for a few seconds after clinical death. Other studies investigate reports of near-death experiences, moments in which people say they saw scenes from their own lives, felt a presence outside their body, or experienced time differently. Neurochemical coincidence, or clues to something beyond the biological explanation? Now imagine this in the context of a black hole. The body is gone. The brain structure has been disrupted, but the mind, or a fraction of it, could still be active, even without physical support. A last thought sustained by pure distortion of time and reality. A memory, a fear, a final image that extends infinitely in dilated thousandths of a second. If consciousness is more than just chemical, it may not end with the body's collapse. But if it continues, what exactly would she experience within an environment where neither time nor space behave logically? For a long time, scientists believed that everything that entered a black hole was destroyed without leaving a trace. That included you, body, mind, memory, history. But this idea began to be questioned by a problem that challenged even the greatest theoretical physicists on the planet: the information paradox. According to the laws of quantum physics, no information can be lost in the universe, not even inside a black hole. The problem is that the theory of relativity, which describes how black holes work, says the opposite. And this creates a conflict. How can two fundamental laws contradict each other? That's when alternative theories emerged. One of the most discussed is the holographic principle. She suggests that all the information about an object that falls into a black hole, including its biological, mental data, and even its life history, is not lost, but is recorded on the surface of the event horizon. As if the universe was creating a coded copy of what was absorbed. Another hypothesis raises the possibility that Hawking radiation, slowly emitted by black holes, could contain traces of this information. Fragments that are almost invisible, but could in theory reveal what was absorbed. This means that even after the destruction of the body and mind, something of you could remain, not in the form of memory but as data, printed on the border between reality and the unknown. But what does this data represent? Would it ever be possible to decode them? Or were they just residues of something that once was and will never return? Oh, and if you haven't clicked the like button yet, this is a good time to do so. This way, you ensure that YouTube continues to show this type of content to you, and to those who are also looking for answers beyond the obvious. What if all you know is just the inside of another collapse? This question may seem absurd at first glance, but it is discussed by serious physicists around the world. There is a theoretical possibility that defies everything we understand as reality, that a black hole is not an absolute end, but a passage. According to some cosmological models, the center of a black hole may contain a connection to what is called a white hole, an opposite theoretical structure from which matter would be expelled rather than sucked in. In other words, what goes into a black hole could come out somewhere else at another time in another universe. What more? There are hypotheses that state that our own universe may have been born from a giant black hole within an earlier universe. This would place everything we know, galaxies, planets, time, consciousness, inside a cosmic bubble generated from the collapse of another reality. This kind of idea is not science fiction. It is speculation based on quantum gravity equations and multiverse theories. And although none of this has been proven, mathematics allows it. And in science, this is already a sign to investigate. If these theories are correct, what we call the end could just be the beginning of another cosmic structure, where the rules are completely different. And falling into a black hole would not be the last stage of existence, but the crossing into something that no one can describe. When everything is gone, body, matter, time, space, what is left? This is the most disturbing point of the journey, imagining that even in the face of the total collapse of reality, something in you is still there, conscious, not in physical form, not rationally, but like a spark of perception, trapped in a fragment of time that never moves forward. And then the question arises that no one can answer. What would be your last thought? Would you see images of your life flashing before your eyes as people who have been on the verge of death report? Would you feel regret, acceptance, fear, or just an internal silence, an infinite pause with no end and no explanation? Maybe there are no words. Maybe it's just a raw emotion, like a memory stuck in a loop, repeated for eternity in dilated milliseconds. The mind, separated from the structure that supports it, still trying to make sense of what is happening, trying to resist something that is beyond all logic, beyond all understanding. That last thought. It may be all that is left of you in a universe where reality has been erased. But what if that thought is so intense, so deep, that it somehow leaves a mark? Something that not even the collapse of a black hole can erase? You've come this far. This already shows that you don't watch just anything. You want to understand what most people avoid even thinking about. This type of content is not for everyone, but for those who are, it can completely change the way they see the universe. Share now with that friend who keeps asking impossible questions. One who would also be obsessed with the idea that a black hole could be more than an end. Let's spread this conversation to those who really matter. The curious, the restless, those who are not satisfied with simple answers. If the universe still holds secrets that challenge even the structure of reality, perhaps falling into a black hole is not the end. Maybe it's the beginning of something that we still can't understand, because our tools, our senses, our own mind aren't ready yet. What if, in the most extreme moment of existence, something in you remained? An isolated perception, a consciousness suspended in time. Would it be possible to survive not with the body, but with a fragment of the mind? Comment below. If you had just one last thought before you cross the point of no return, what would go through your mind? And if you've made it this far, it's because this type of question moves you. Subscribe to the channel. Being part of this is diving into a journey where each theory takes you deeper into the unknown. Here, science finds the impossible, and the impossible finds you. Don't miss what's yet to come. Now look at the video that appears on your screen. It's the next stage of this journey. Click on it now, because what you discover could change the way you understand time, space, and existence itself.